No. No. Hello there, welcome back to my channel. My name's SKYMAN and your Star Wars quote for today. This is my apprentice, Darth Maul. He will find your lost ship. Episode 10 of Season 3 of Bad Batch. I think episode 11 as well. I think we've got 2 episodes today. So I'm kind of hoping they go sort of back to the main story. You've got that evil clone on there, Sixer, as well. I found it interesting, so I thought last week's episode with Ventress, which was pretty cool to see her, a different interesting take. And I know, is it the Something Disciple that she was in and she was destroyed in there or something? I haven't seen that one. I don't know if that was a Clone Wars episode or something like that, but I know there are a lot of unfinished Clone Wars episodes, a lot in previous stage as well, I know, with the Kyber Crystals and Mace Windu and Count Dooku. Also, the escape of Darth Maul, when he escapes Sidious after Sidious captures him as well. That's what I always wanted to see in Clone Wars, and you can find all that on YouTube. Like, you can see it. You've probably seen that years ago like I did, but there's a lot of sort of unfinished things there, and I just want it to flow nicely, and I don't want fans to kind of be upset that something that they've loved and had in their head for a long time, which is sort of being canon in a way, to be changed. I like it just to sort of follow the path, and if someone sort of perished back in that time with a good story behind it, then that's how it sort of should be. But I'm not going to complain seeing Ventress at all, because it was very cool to see her in a very different take on where she is right now. I liked how they merged her character. Like, there's still that dark, sinister side to her, but it's just a personality now. It doesn't define like her abilities and her connection with the Force, which is of course a light. So it's this sort of weird Ventress, you know, because the one at the end of Clone Wars, like I said, in the final seasons of Clone Wars, where Anakin's hunting her down and she was helping Ahsoka, she was quite jokey there and seemed a lot more uplifted and light-hearted, but here she seemed a bit more reverted back to old school Ventress, but she is light sort of thing. So kind of, I don't know, but it was very cool to see Ventress, and an interesting take. Obviously expanding, I say expanding about the midi-chlorians thing, but it's stuff we already know, so it's kind of like, you know, we've got this big story in the background sort of looming over, and I want that to be sort of approached a little bit more. So hopefully in these 2 episodes they'll very much get to that. And I don't know why in the trailer when Cad Bane shows up, I thought he would show up at the same time, either Fennec Shan and it would be like a bounty hunter episode, or Ventress. So it's very intriguing to think when he's going to be shoehorned in and let loose upon the Bad Batch, if he goes against the Bad Batch. I mean, perhaps he switches sides and does the odd switcheroons against the Empire, I don't know. But I think he's been saved for some sort of moment, and I hope it's in one of these 2 episodes. But yeah, that's the speculation part. I always like, just before the show, I've said it many times, you're at that moment and you just speculate and try to wonder, and I think that's always the good bit of watching these shows together, is just thinking about it and discussing it and being Star Wars nerds and just venting out. That's always good for me. So let's watch Identity Crisis. But whose identity is in crisis? This is a crisis. Force sensitivity. Maybe that's the story. Just the same thing we had with Sidious in the Clone Wars, when he's after all the younglings and the children of the Force, that episode. It's probably just going to be an episode with Hemlock or the other clone girl and her testing children of the Force. It's good to get back and see what's going on. Just show us. We want to see it. We know what's there. Unless it's something else, then...
Let's begin by bringing you up to speed on Project Necromancer.
Good.
And thus must be handled with the utmost care.
Was it children? Yes. So Sidious walks in to basically the children nursery area. Are you having fun? Good. I look forward to stealing your limit
your personal interactions with the specimens. They are scientific assets. Nothing more.
It's weird. Like, it's a very sort of chill environment, but with this very sinister edge to it. Very strange. Hello, little lady. It's gotta be Cad Bane. Still literally doing the same job. Must be just an easy job with no jello on his tail now.
Thanks for the tip.
Is that literally it? That's all of Cad Bane's cameo for all of Bad Batch Season 3. If so, a little bit sad.
Hello, it's...
So I assume this is a
Can you find out for me?
kid episode.
Don't!
Oh my. What the bloody hell?
You've been to the vault and seen the specimens.
The children...
She's starting to talk even slower than she did previously.
Was
Governor Tarkin, to what do I owe?
Good.
Have been raised regarding the financial impact your facility is having, which is what?
I'm afraid that's classified.
Perhaps there is some assistance I may provide, seeing this is of such importance.
The funding?
Hope so. If this project fails to yield proper results, it won't bode well for your operation. Or for you, Doctor.
I love talking. Coruscant, you are looking beautiful as ever. Why does Cad Bane just
I'm here to
always
inspect
look so
the
cool?
specimen. How many others like this have you captured?
Let's just say I'm good at my job.
Well, that's changed sides now. But we still want to know what happened to Cody. Very good. We'll just jump straight into the next episode. We'll just say that it was a very tonally different sort of episode. Everything is sort of slow paced, but it has this very sinister edge to it. So it's creepy. Like the Empire is really up to no good, and what they're doing is extremely morally wrong. So that's kind of an interesting take of her changing her mind, whatever her name is, Amiga's older sister. But I could see why they just added other things in there, so like Cad Bane. Yeah, cool. Get Cad Bane to bring the child in, because of course we know Cad Bane and we know what he did in the Clone Wars, so that's good sort of mirroring, because he literally has no opposition this time around to acquire the Force sensitive children. Also getting Tarkin in there as well. I like that. I think just for an episode like this, one would put these sort of characters that we love in, just for those little cameo things. But to have Tarkin just randomly coming up for a conversation about expenditure, which we already know the Emperor is giving him however much he wants. I like that purely because he doesn't have a clue what's going on, and he's from a military aspect, but he has nothing to do with the scientific core of the Empire, which Hemlock has control of. So him not knowing what the science core is basically doing is obviously from a military point of view, and trying to find out the money and where it's all going is obviously bothering Tarkin. So I hope that was just like the foundation, laying some sort of foundation for some sort of resentment later on, if it does lead to a big conflict at the end, and then Tarkin's called in to aid and give assistance, and then Tarkin being Tarkin going, when things are starting to look a bit dire for Hemlock and the gang, Tarkin just be like, no, disengage Star Destroyers, turn around and make the jump into hyperspace immediately. Or something along those lines. Then a scene like the Hemlock and Tarkin interaction in this episode, you know, it was character building for later on. That's the sort of storytelling that I like. Let's jump straight into the next one. I mean, I would kind of like to see Bad Batch just a little bit. I would kind of just a little bit like to see Bad Batch being completely badass and just going on a Bad Batch rampage and just taking down a load of things and saving other clones. And I feel like we need to build that sort of camaraderie, that sort of clones together and find out where Cody is. I think that's sort of my greatest concern at the moment. Oh. It's like she keeps being added in. I don't know if anyone else likes that pirate, but I don't. You bring a sword to a blaster fight.
Granted access to Navi computer. Track the command tracks.
Wow, it's a lovely scar. Whoa, it's Bad Batch in their own show.
I wish you didn't have to leave.
Me too. But
There's
Hunter
been a
makes
lot
it
of
safer
kid
for
stuff
everyone.
in these last 2 episodes. I mean, I get that it's probably going for a kid show, and I like the Indiana Jones reference there as well.
So, which
All I think about for that place is tsunami. That is literally it. Why are you there? This reminds me of Bounty Hunter game, the Jango Fett PlayStation 2 game. Finding your targets.
I've got eyes.
No. No. No, not their shit. This is like Razor Crest all over again. Well, thank goodness she took her possessions out earlier on that day, Amiga. You know who it is.
Everyone, get to cover.
I did not even see the Venator. I was looking for his tiny little wedge ship. That looks really good. Takes me back to the good old set days. I mean, they mean serious business just to get the movie.
We have to steal one of their gunships.
There's Lucha about to send that across now.
All in.
She's gonna hand herself in, but hopefully. I mean, I'm up for seeing a Bad Batch Republic gunship.
Marcy, is that Hunter?
Getting back to Tantus.
exactly. We've been trying to find those coordinates and nothing's worked. But if I keep my comm on,
Then you never should have come here in the first place. Scan her for tracking devices.
fine.
Another scan. How many times are we going to see Badger get patted on the head, stroked? You've done it now. But thankfully, Rex and the other clones have been working to find out what's going on, and they know where it is.
Target.
The thing is, with an episode like that, you kind of know exactly how it's going to end up and how it's going to go, and you know that it was just going to stay on that planet, and then Amiga was going to give herself up because she was trying to do the right thing. I don't know what the word is for it, but it's a classic case of whatever that was, and we knew that there's got to be that in terms of a story. When you're writing a story, you've got to have the high point, and then it goes down where there's the most challenging part for the heroes, and this is that point. And now they've got to, with all the previous things that have come before, they've got to use all that knowledge and now overcome the greatest threat, which is to Omega, which is her being captured now. And the clones must have found a way, like the good clones of Rex, Echo, or someone's helped them in some sort of way to get that information. When things are looking really dire for Omega, Rex and the whole team and all the good clones can now launch a full-scale assault on Hemlock Science Labs. I mean, that to me is where it's sort of heading. The thing with these episodes is very much like, as opposed to Clone Wars, the style's the same, but in terms of like how the story progresses, it's more like you're watching someone's everyday life, as opposed to Clone Wars, which was always such momentous things happening, and because the characters were so important in a universal scale, whatever happens to them tends to mean that it's going to happen, there's going to be consequences for the whole universe. But you don't really get that with Bad Batch, even if Omega's found and they do get the midichlorians, get her blood, etc., get what they need for Project Necromancer. We know what Project Necromancer is. I'm really hoping that it's not what we think it is. I hope it's something else interesting, so it's given meaning to this whole point of secrecy and not showing it throughout the whole series, because it's one of those things, like we know the final product, we know how it all goes with the final product. It's kind of a very difficult thing to try and make an interesting story surrounding something and create the tension for something that we know probably what's in that thing that Hemlock's making. But unless it was something different, something really interesting, and if they just threw in an absolute curveball in it, it's like a Anakin Skywalker that he's trying to clone, and just as we see it, the whole facility is destroyed and wiped out. To me, that would be a kind of a cool curveball to see something that we weren't expecting whatsoever. It could be anything that Palpatine's creating, and even if it is destroyed and Hemlock's facility is completely wiped out, we could have that reveal of something, wow, he was actually making that. The facility's wiped out, but it doesn't really affect Palpatine because he's got the resources to basically do it all over again. We know he's now got the knowledge to proceed with that sort of thing, and it could be an Exegol or whatever, but we don't need to see it. We've just had Palpatine trying to work something, and he'd be going, I tried that has failed, now it's time to think about eternity or something along those lines, and then him walking off trying to do his own thing on Exegol. I'd much prefer to see that and something new for which we're being hidden from at the moment. But yeah, that's just my take on it all. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. Take care of yourself, and remember, the Force will be with you always.